Joining us right now in place of Elliott Short-Parks is the great Ruben Frank. This call-in brought to you by Robin Ford, online at robinford.com. Robin Ford, where cars and trucks are sold cheap. Ruben, thank you for standing in for Elliott.
Well, it makes sense. When you can't get Elliott, you get the only guy in town who's got stupider takes than he does, right?
Oh, not even
close. Have you heard his takes?
Yeah, come on, man. Actually, two quick Elliott things before we get to the Eagles. Elliott thing number one. Now, you know Elliott quite well.
I do.
What is one thing that Elliott is better than Ruben, and one thing that Ruben is better at than Elliott?
One thing Elliott is better than me at. Boy,
yep. Do you need an hour?
I don't know. He's not very good at anything. I don't know. Does he play golf? I don't play golf. Maybe
nope.
No,
it doesn't do that. It doesn't do that.
Does he play chess?
No, there's no way.
Strictly checkers.
Yeah, he is.
Maybe Connect Four.
Yeah, you look up checkers in the dictionary, and Elliott's photo is there. And the other Elliott thing, it was a shocker to me that he flew to England to see Oasis. Now, I don't know if you're an Oasis guy, but you are a music guy, Ruben. So does Elliott go up in your personal rankings, given that he flew overseas to see the reunion of such a big rock show?
Yeah, I do. That's a lot of credibility in my book. I love Oasis. I wish they were playing in Philly, but good for him. And he's I think from sitting next to me in the media room, his musical taste has improved significantly. I think it's helped him. So I'll take some credit for that.
Yeah, but there's no way he knew any Oasis songs before he went.
No, he knew two.
Maybe Wonderwall.
Maybe Wonderwall. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, and Champagne Supernova probably. Yeah, it sucks they're only playing MetLife because that place is a nightmare to get into. It's a nightmare to get out of. I don't want to see a concert at MetLife Stadium. Rube, we were talking yesterday. ESPN graded all of the off seasons in the NFL. Of course, we're in that time of year. They gave the Eagles a B+, which felt like, even to Ike, felt like really strong. First of all, your opinion on that grade, and if you were to grade it, obviously we don't know how these guys who are here are going to play, but your grade for the Eagles offseason.
Yeah, it's an interesting question because I give them an A for the concept. I like the idea of getting younger, and you had to get cheaper to make room for some of the contracts coming up. I mean, gosh, what are you going to pay Jalen Carter, when his contract is up? I mean, he's got to be the highest paid interior lineman ever once he's up. So you had to make, you had to make some difficult decisions. It's going to come down to these young kids and how good they are. But, I'd be in the solid B area. I think I wouldn't certainly pay what Milton Williams got. I think he's a good player. I think they overpaid for him. I kind of think the same with Arizona and Josh Sweat. I think they're really good players who had great preseasons and are better than what the Eagles have. But I wouldn't pay that kind of money for him. So I think a solid B. I think that's where they are. You return the entire offense intact, and I'm just not crazy about these one-year defensive guys. They don't usually work out. But considering what Howie's trying to do, it made sense to get them as kind of backups in case the young guys, Keely Ringo and Sidney Brown, and these kind of guys don't work out.
It seems like they did sort of for the one-year guys. Now, we had one who famously worked out last year in Zach Bond, one who didn't in Devin White. It seems like what they tried to do was say, well, if we get enough of these one-year guys, a couple of them have to work out. Like they did it with a lot of them. Is there any of them from the Uche to Ojulari to I'm trying to think who else they got on a one-year. Is there any of them who you have particular faith in, the one-year guys they got?
No. I mean, there's a reason they got them. They got them all super cheap for like $1 million or $2 million, or
Yep.
And there's a reason for that. I mean, they're all guys who've had injuries, whose production has declined, who were underachieving high picks. They're all guys that there's something wrong with them. So that's what you're going to get for $1.5 million or $2 million. Now, I do think. I mean, Ojulari's a guy who, when he's been healthy, has been super productive. I mean, gosh, he's averaged more sacks per game than Sweat in his career. He just can't stay on the field. So It's possible him or Uche could be a decent third edge. I think there's a chance of that. But to sit here and say I have a lot of faith in any of them to really, make a Zach Bond or Mekhi Becton type of impact, I just can't say that.
Yeah, it kind of feels like the Eagles, Rube, from their viewpoint, they are putting a lot of stock in the guys. Not so much in the guys that they acquired. I think a lot of those guys are more or less insurance sort of policies for the guys that they want to give an opportunity to play. I'm speaking primarily of guys on the defensive side of the ball. It's only the right guard position is the only thing that's going to change offensively. But on defense, they seem to be putting a lot of faith in their young guys. And I got that faith in them as well. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think that's the faith that they're putting in the players or the faith that they're putting in Vic Fangio?
Yeah, I think it's both, and I think it's faith in – if you look at Howie's draft record over the last few years, you're thinking, well, he keeps nailing these picks. So, I mean, what I saw from Keely Ringo as a rookie, I really liked, and he was 21 at the time. So I really believe in him as a player. I think he's going to be cornerback number 2. Sidney Brown, I'm not so sure about. But in general, I think that all those guys have a chance to, there's big shoes to fill. But I like their young defensive players. They have guys who can run, who played in big programs, who have shown up either on special teams or as backups when they've had an opportunity. So, yeah, I believe in that group.
I think this is less about the team and more about the reaction around the team. But I do wonder if the Eagles take a step back in defense to say that let's say they're the 12th best defense, points per game in the NFL. Whether people sort of put that on Vic or they put it on Howie. Whether this ends up being, well, why can't Fangio made it work last year? Why can't he make it work this year? Or Howie made bad decisions not replacing the guys who left. I do wonder who that is ultimately going to fall on.
No, it's a fair question. I'd be really surprised if they're that low, if they're 12th. But if they are, look, we know what kind of coach Vic Fangio is. So I think it would be a reflection of the picks, of the draft picks, of the personnel. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think if it does, it would just be, look, Howie just didn't draft as well on defense over this little couple of years than maybe he did before that.
It's funny. You say you wouldn't think they'd be 12th, and it seems like they might now. I'm just looking at points per game from last year. So the Eagles allowed defensively 18.1. The 12th-ranked defense allowed 21.6. And, it just shows, which is a field goal, right? And it just shows how the NFL has morphed and how so many games are one-score games now. And the difference, of course, Buffalo was a good team, but the difference between being maybe winning 14 games and winning 10 or 11 games can be 3 points per game. How big a difference that can make.
Yeah, there's no question about it. I think the number of games decided by 3 or fewer points was really high last year in comparison to other years. And yeah, that comes down to what you do in the fourth quarter and what you do in clutch situations. And this team's been really good at those things. And look, they have a lot of talent coming back on defense. I mean, they lost some guys, but gosh, you're talking about Bond and Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith, and I'm high on Jalen Hunt. I mean, they have a lot of talent coming back. Nakobe, if he can get back on the field, the rookie, I think is going to be a really good player. It's really the secondary, and they got Reed, and they got the 2 rookies from last year. So, I mean, it's not like the cupboard's bare on defense. I mean, they've got some really, really good players.
Yeah, I was going to just ask you, who do you think from that young core of guys will be the standout this year?
I think Quinyon Mitchell is going to be a Pro Bowler. I mean, I'm high on all those guys. I mean, Nolan Smith, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets 12 sacks or so. But Quinyon's the guy who I can just see him being like 6 or 7 interceptions, a pick 6 or 2. I mean, he is such a lockdown player. The analytics on him are insane. The yards per target and that kind of stuff. I mean, he just doesn't give anything up. And Slay's not going to be around on the other side, but. And we'll see what they get from Keeley, I would guess. But I think Quinyon Mitchell is an All-Pro. I think he's a potential first-team All-Pro in the next few years.
Wow. Ruben Frank with us right now. So we've been The only list I saw nationally come out, and then Giglio did one today, but the ranking, like the head coach ranking in the NFL, Sirianni was 8th on Pro Football Focus, and Giglio had him 8th as well. Like, coaches you think are definitely should be ahead of Nick Sirianni. Who do you think definitely should be ahead?
Big Red.
Okay.
That might be the list. I mean,
wow.
You know, I mean, you look at, I mean, how many coaches have gone to 2 Super Bowls in the last 3 years? How many coaches in history have made the playoffs in their first 4 years? I think it's just Nick and Tomlin, and I think there's one other guy. I mean, what he has done and the way he got this team to rebound after the way 2023 ended. Look, it's easy to, and I understand why people nationally don't like him. He makes it really easy to not like him. And, you know, but as far as what he's done with this team, I mean, to me, he's a top 3 or 4 coach. And they're not going away. I mean, they're not going anywhere. I mean, I think they're going back to the Super Bowl. I really do. I think it's a really good chance of it. So he's doing things that, like, coaches just haven't done, especially new coaches. And, you know, I mean, you can make a case for some other guys, but I think he's right near the top of that list. I really do.
Well, how much stock do you put in the excuse me, put in the guys who are also shut up, guys. Shut up, Jack. Shut up, shut up, Ike. How much stock do you put in the guys who are also coordinators? So we would in that case we'd talk about McVay. We'd also talk about Shanahan in San Francisco. Just sort of like the stability I think that can create when the offensive coordinator is also the head coach.
Yeah, well, that's great. If those guys are good at it and that's what they want to do, and you know that's their strength, that's fine. I think Nick really understands that that's not his strength, and that was when he gave up play calling to Shane Steichen, that was one of the pivotal moments in this franchise. He was not good at it. I mean, he understood that, he recognized it, and he gave it up, and he's never going to take it back. He's just bad at it. And so I think when you look at a head coach, the most important thing you can do is create this locker room and this culture, and I hate that word, it's overused, but to create a platform that the team can take off and win, and that's what he does. And it's not conventional because he's an offensive coach that doesn't call plays, and there's not that many of those. But, you know, I mean, you look at what they've done over the last 3 years, and other than, like, a bad month at the end of one season, I mean, they've been the best team in football the last 3 years. So, I mean, he does it a different way, and his job definition is different than most head coaches. But it works for him, and it works for this team. And as long as they have good coordinators, you know, who especially on the offensive side, and you know, the jury's obviously out on this year, but I don't know what else he can do.
I think the thing that has impressed me most about Sirianni, and you mentioned it there, is self-awareness eventually, and willingness to address the things that he's not good at. Because I think when you get into that position, any sort of position of power like that, you believe so much in what you've done to get there that somebody telling you that you don't do something well or that you should do something differently, I think that's where coaches get stuck. I think it is stubbornness in the way that they've done it. And his ability to sort of adjust and evolve is not something that you see very often in NFL head coaches. And I think if more were like that, they would probably end up being better head coaches. But his ability to sort of recognize, I shouldn't do that, I should do this, even as quiet as he's been this offseason, it doesn't feel very Nick, but it feels like he has grown up a lot in the 4 years that he's been head coach of the Eagles.
Yeah, I think I just wrote about that. Like, how many other head coaches who've had this kind of success are constantly seeking out other successful coaches, you know, whether it's, you know, Dawn Staley or Jay Wright or whoever. I mean, we don't know half the people he talks to, but he's always trying to get better. And, yeah, I'm not sure there's a ton of coaches who are like that. He's always trying to learn as much as he can about how to deal with players, how to handle adversity, how to navigate difficult situations, how to address the team, how to practice. I mean, he's constantly working on those things on his game. You're not going to have sustained success in this league if you're not constantly getting better and working to improve. I guess that's probably true in any field, but you know, in football, sure is, and he does that.
Yeah, I think his best quality is working with people, including, and probably most importantly, the ability to work with his front office, working with Howie, right?
Yeah.
We know Howie has to be able to have his fingerprints on this roster, but to not have that sort of clash between coach and front office makes for a long, successful working relationship when everybody knows their role.
Well, his other coaches, too.
Yeah.
I mean, Fangio is a dominant personality.
Yep.
He talks a lot.
Yep.
And we saw in it with the Giants, look, Daboll's a offensive coach, but for some reason couldn't get along with Martindale, who is the defensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. And, like, his ability to – I know we all love Vic Fangio, but clearly, like, there is something about – like, I'm sure he can grate on a head coach who is a different sort of person than Nick is. Mm-hmm. I can imagine him being like, well, that guy's the coordinator. He's not the head coach. But I think Sirianni's evolution has allowed him to be able to coach with guys that are bigger personality or as big a personality as he is. All right, Rube, we appreciate you stepping in for Elliot. Really, we didn't get mad at you at all.
Nope.
This is not a normal 3 o'clock
peaceful
thing.
call.
Do you think players should be able to gamble on themselves, Rube?
Yeah.
Should players be able to gamble on themselves?
Yes.
No, I would say.
Elliot says yes.
Yeah, Elliot said yes.
I would say no. I would say no to that. Really,
Elliot
anything you ask me, I would just say the opposite of Elliot.
All right, Rube, we appreciate you stepping in for him today.
All right, guys.
All right, there he is,
All right, Rube.
Ruben Frank.